Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how can you connect PayPal with Voiceflow with a super simple function. And it's going to probably take less than 10 minutes, so watch till the end. Let's come to Voiceflow, right? In Voiceflow, so what you have to do is click to the content part here in Voiceflow, right? And then you'll get to all these options. Click on tools and here we'll import a function. What we're going to do is click on import, right? And select a file, which I'm going to browse. And I just have a file with PayPal's name. It's in downloads. Yep, this particular file, click on open, and it will be able to import one tool in my tools app, right, in Voiceflow. It automatically created one, so you can see I already have two of them because I already have one created here. Once this is there, pretty much the next part of the job is super easy. So let's get on that. Now here is how the function looks. You don't need to worry about it, right? So you don't need to read the code or anything else. You just need to figure out what are your input variables going to be and how we are going to use them. So let's come back to the workflows part and select the workflow that I've already created. Now to bring the function here, what you have to do is click on the dev part, select function, drop this and select the function and select on PayPal create a payment link. That's the function that I've created. It's probably one of the most widely used cases for functions, which is to create a payment link. And you can click on PayPal and you get all of these things here. Now, if you have not used PayPal to integrate something before, I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to get all of these values that you need. Whenever a user is interacting, they need a unique link to pay so that they can send amount to your bank account or to your PayPal account. And the way to do that is using this instead of to generate dynamic links as required. Now, don't get worried if you're here, right? Where are you going to get all of these values from? I'm going to tell you step by step on how can you get these values from your PayPal account and put them here. Once you open your PayPal dashboard, you will see something like this. Now, obviously, I have a lot of things blurred on the screen for obvious reasons, but the only thing you need to care about is you need to click on this button here. It's called Developer. Once you click that, the next step is pretty simple. You will be in the Sandbox mode, and we're going to use the Sandbox mode for all the testing here. But whenever you switch to live also, nothing changes, everything stays the same. So just follow the steps along when you're building for your live part and just switch on to live. So the first thing that we need is the PayPal client ID. So now how do you get the client ID and client secret? Click on API credentials, come here and click on create an app. We're going to do a test app, demo YT, and click on create an app. It will automatically create an application and give us all the required details that we need. I already have a couple of applications that I can use. We're going to click on copy to this. This app won't work after the Sandbox is done. And we can just come here and paste this. So we have the PayPal client ID. I'll also copy the secret and paste that here. The next thing, as you can see, is required is Sandbox 2.0. I'm testing in Sandbox. But once you want to switch to live, click on, just put this as false and it will switch to live. But if you want this to be in Sandbox, I'm going to select 2. Now, amount, obviously, is completely dependent upon what you are selling and what you want, and I'll show you an example of that. Currency code can be, for example, USD or INR or something like that. I'll just zoom in a bit so you guys can see this a bit better, right? And you can put USD. Description is the description of the product you want to sell. Reference ID could be anything. It's simply like an optional variable in case you are referencing to a product. You can put that, and then you have to put in a cancel URL or a return URL. Cancel URL is in case the user cancels the payment, where do they go? I'm just going to use google.com. Please ensure to use HTTPS. If you don't use this, it won't work. Please just input the URL and copy paste from there. And if it is, and for return URL, I'm going to use Better with AI. In case you need help with AI, I do help people with AI implementations and everything else. And there is a link in the description for you to check out. Go ahead and do that, but let's come back to this. So click on return URL, which is going to paste this. And then amount, I'm just going to, for testing purposes, put 100. Now, other variables, technically, we don't need to do anything right now. We can see that how we progress on the next one, right? I'm just going to click on run this function, and it should technically be able to run all the details. I've already input all the variables. I'm just going to click on, come back here, click on run. And it should simply give me a payment URL as an output. And as you can see, it gives me a payment URL with the sandbox.paypal.com so that we don't make any real payments. We can test that out also. You have an option to obviously log in or pay with your credit card and debit card. I'm just going to select pay with credit card or debit card, and it will give me a whole page where I can pay and all of these with the details that we have input. And it works absolutely well and super simply. But again, This is the legacy workflow, as we call it. This is like the way we technically have a function separately or something like that. I actually don't like using this. So what we're going to use is, instead of this, an agent option, right? So I have created a very simple agent which technically just does like a selling of a Voiceflow course, right? I don't have partner. Everything is available for free on YouTube. So if you like it, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing but helps you out a lot. But with that, we already have the tool connected here. Now to do that, if you have not done that before, click on this plus button, click on the function and just select as you normally would. Once you select that, you will see all of these details. Same option wise, I've also input details here in the values and everything else. And the same format wise, I just input everything. So the secret, the sandbox value, the amount is the only thing that the agent has to determine themselds. It's not something that the user has to determine. That's why it's selected as no default value and the agent collect option. Other values, obviously I want it in USD, that's what's provided. Description I provided just as a course, and reference ID can automatically detect if it wants a return URL and a cancel URL. Super simple details that you can input. Now, one thing that happens now is once it gets all the details, it sends you the final payment link and everything else automatically. What I want to do is actually use this new feature called buttons. Display payment button, which links to the order URL create. So actually we are going to use this approval URL and just mention that exact approval URL to create the payment button. Welcome to our Voiceflow course. Again, it's a very super simple message. You can change it as you want. But the only thing is you can see all the details here. And you can also see the variables that are being used at any given point. Let's take the 400. I'll just say accelerated plan, right? And it will allow me to technically now ask me for payment, which is how I configured it, so that it's it's super simple. We're just testing this out, and I can just say yes, right? And I'll just say yes, and it will technically should be able to give us a payment link. Simply go ahead and make a payment and complete payment, and it should have redirected, right? Yeah, okay. Now it created the link or something else. That's fine. So don't use the button option, or probably write a better prompt there. So we click on this, right? And it should take us to this particular page. I can also log in and I will show you that as an example with a test account. And as you can see, it automatically brings you to the same payment page. Obviously you can test out and put in a random card and everything and try that. But again, it just works perfectly fine, right? So it's a super interesting integration, right? You guys can use this very quickly, right? Just download the extension, follow the steps, and you can use this with multiple. Now, a couple of things before we conclude. If you want to switch from Sandbox to live environment, just make sure to put this in false and keep all the details same except the client ID, client secret. That obviously need to be the live examples. Other than that, it's pretty simple to use this, right? You can have all the details. You can have this connected in the agent. And this button part is still, I think, a new feature. I want to test it out. I can just stick to this. And actually, I'll just show you, as an example. If you just don't use the buttons part, how does it work? Let's say basic plan, right? And then just, I don't know if it allows you. Okay. And yes, ready. Because it's just streaming responses right now, right? It does not change anything. Again, it's just streaming. It's a good thing. But without the buttons, it simply just works with a great link that you can use. So we'll have a link that you can use here, and it gives you a good response option. A new incognito window, it will just work perfectly fine. Pay with credit card or debit card, and you'll have the same $200 link and everything else. So again, you can use this to sell products. You can even use this to create a simple e-commerce style format there within Voiceflow and just link it to allow for payments. And I think you can figure out much more creative ideas than what I just told you there. But yes, if you did like the video and enjoyed watching it with me, please like, share, and subscribe. It does help me out a lot, and I would love to see you in the next one. And for all the links and everything else, go down in the description. Till then, see you. Bye.